This is 911. Do you have an emergency?
Today on Rescue 911, overcome by smoke.
And I says, fire, fire, fire.
A blazing building.
Somebody was trapped.
A brave man.
Most of the floor was involved in fire.
And a frantic EMT.
I said, that's my mom's house.
Plus, friends act fast.
We moved him the wrong way. It can make things worse.
When a boy is paralyzed in a diving accident.
I can't feel my body.
Said he was not hurting, but he couldn't feel anything.
On Rescue 911.
When Ivy King moved from South America to Brooklyn, New York, she worked hard to realize her dream of buying a house big enough for her large family to live in together. 15 years later, on the evening of June 11th, 1994, she was still living in her dream house with a grown son, 4 grown daughters, and their families, including 28-year-old Carmel.
This has been my home for years. You get attached. It's a part of you. That's like your comfort zone.
This would be enough for now.
How many potatoes you want in there?
Like 3.
Ivy was in the kitchen on the first floor.
I saw the smoke start gushing from the bedroom. And I just shout and I says, fire, fire, fire.
The smoke was black. I mean, black smoke just gushing out of the room, so I knew it was serious.
Diane, she was the favorite in the family. She was born mentally retarded. She would take care of the kids love her.
I picked up the phone and I dialed 911.
Police operator 2338, where's your emergency?
Noella, there's a fire downstairs.
Fire?
Yes, come on, Kenya, come on, fire downstairs.
Okay.
Diane was standing in front of my bedroom door, and I said to her, go outside.
Noella, y'all, come on, Noella, come on.
Between the time we realized the fire started and by the time we got out of the house, the whole house was just on fire.
When we continue,
I realized that Diane was missing.
I thought, oh my God, she's gonna die, because at that point, the fire had consumed the whole house.
"16-year-old Noella is one of the oldest of Ivy's grandchildren.
I thought everybody was outside. But then we started looking around. That's when we realized that Diane was missing.
She wasn't outside, so she had to be in the house. And I thought, oh my God, she's gonna die, because at that point, the fire had consumed the whole house. I felt guilty. I felt that I should have made sure that she came out of the house.
Within 4 minutes of the call, the first New York City fire units arrived, including 11-year veteran Richard Palmer.
A woman let us know that somebody was in back, trapped in the parlor floor. I didn't have many options as to how to get to the building. I had to go through another building to get there.
3-5 Victor, I have a major bond for you. Eastern Parkway.
St. Mary's Hospital ambulance paramedic Denise King was also dispatched to the scene.
We got a call for a burn. They didn't give us the location. They just said Eastern Parkway, New York Avenue. I told my partner, I said, oh, that's where my family lived.
There was a side door. I had to force it with a Halligan tool. There was zero visibility, pretty hot. Most of the parlor floor was involved in fire.
It was just so much smoke and fire through the whole house. I didn't think it was possible for her to survive all that.
99% of the times you crawl around a fire, you see nothing. You go 100% by touch. The most important part is to keep a mental track of where you are in the room in regard to getting out. When I entered the kitchen area, the fire was very close. Actually, it was probably starting to come into the kitchen itself. I started going towards the rear, towards where the window I had broken, and probably 10 or 12 feet back, I found Miss King.
Did it come up?
The job came up on the computer.
Yeah, it came up. It's 295 New York Avenue.
Oh, God, that's my family house. And I said, that's my mom's house. I got very nervous at that point.
I couldn't go back, bring her out the way I had come in. There was a fence involved and too many stairs.
132 over to 280.
I couldn't really determine if she was breathing. I checked for her pulse. She had a pulse. The fire had pretty much been knocked down by the engine.
Okay, bring her right out through the front.
We took her up and back out through the fire building.
Got it, Dennis, got him.
It didn't even appear as though she was breathing, so I just knew she was dead.
New York City police officer Marty Polino was also on the scene.
His mother was hysterical crying. We were like trying to hold everybody back, trying to make room for EMS to respond.
Denise's partner, paramedic MD David Colborn, had worked with her for 4 years.
Denise is very cool, very collected. She's a very good paramedic. Very much so in control of herself, usually.
I saw my sister on the sidewalk.
Oh, my God, I can't do this. Oh, no.
I said, you know, Denise, we need you now. You know, your sister needs you.
I remember saying, okay, and I wasn't nervous anymore. I was just handling the call like, you know, I would normally handle a call. It was still my sister, but this is my job. I'm gonna do my job and do the best I can.
Daddy's. I don't think I could have done it. She was very brave.
Her respirations were suppressed. She was covered in soot. Her hair was burned.
As we get her to the ambulance, her respiratory rate ceased.
Was she breathing at all when you got there?
She was very combative. We restrained her and we attempted intubation, but she pulled the tube out and we just continued to bag. It was very hard being calm, very hard. I was spraying the whole time.
Okay, we got a 29-year-old.
Diane was taken to the trauma center at Kings County Hospital, where emergency physician Richard Sinnert took over her care.
When she arrived, she was quite disoriented, but her vital signs were stable, and she was breathing at a normal rate.
Can I speak to the director of the hyperbaric chamber at Bronx Municipal?
We did tests, and it showed that she had a significant carbon monoxide poisoning. We needed to effect a treatment rather quickly.
Diane was transferred to Bronx Municipal Hospital, where she was put in a hyperbaric chamber to lower the dangerous levels of carbon monoxide in her blood.
Okay, 60 feet, you're on bottom.
She was hospitalized for 7 weeks. 5 months later, 30-year-old Diane King is doing well. The family lost everything they owned, but not their strength to continue.
I think they have a hard road ahead of them, but I think that because of the natural dynamics that they have and the love that they have for each other, they'll be able to do very well in the future, even though this minor setback has taken place for them.
Denise did an excellent job. She composed herself and did what she had to do. And given the circumstances, she did very well. I am proud.
The hero to me in the story is firefighter Palmer, because he ran into the burning building and saved my sister's life. He's the hero. I can't thank him enough.
And they said they would give him a citation. I think he deserved it. He deserved it. He risked his life to save my daughter.
It was subsequently determined that the fire was caused by a short in the electrical wiring.
The house and the stuff in the house is material. We could always replace that. So the best part was that Diane turned out okay and everybody was alive.
Next.
I thought, well, he's just playing or seeing how long he can hold his breath, maybe. But then his body went down to the bottom of the sand.
The vacation home at Lake Jewel in Florida that Nancy Aspinwall and her husband owned was a popular place for their son's friends. On March 4th, 1990, a group of them gathered hoping to go swimming or water skiing, with no idea what the day would bring.
All of us were out on the dock, but Benji was the last one. He had been messing around with his car.
18-year-old Benji Keel was staying with his friend Jason Aspinwall at the house.
During breakfast, everybody was talking about going skiing, and since it was early in the year, we knew the water would be cold. So we were going to sit down and wait for it to warm up some.
No, we're going to go eventually.
Gene Harkey was staying nearby at his uncle's house that weekend.
We're just about to set up the boat with the boom and everything. At that point, Benji said that he wanted to see how cold the water was and took a leap off the dock.
It's probably pretty cold. The water looks too cold to be jumping in there. I'd rather ease in that water than jumping like that.
Why is he just laying there like that? I thought, well, he's just playing or seeing how long he can hold his breath, maybe.
I'm trying to get one of us to jump in after him.
He's just relaxing.
But then his body went down to the bottom of the sand. But y'all look at him. I said, something's wrong with him.
No, he looks like he's hurt.
Jamie,
y'all
get
think
him.
he's hurt?
So I thought perhaps he just had a cramp because the water was cold.
I can't feel my body.
My thing was just get him out of the water, get him out of the water.
Dial 911.
I told him not to take him out in the water because if you moved him the wrong way, it could make things worse.
911, what is your emergency?
At 11:25 a.m., the call for help came in to the Putnam County Sheriff's Department. The nearest medic unit with the Palatka Fire Department was immediately dispatched to what was described as a diving accident, but they were 18 miles away.
First thing that came to my mind was to put him on something flat and not move him much. And the first thing I saw that was large enough to go underneath a person was the surfboard. Because the surfboard also floats, it was an excellent thing by chance.
All right, get up on the board. Come on, just be calm, Benji.
We were like getting him to say stupid things like, what's your favorite song, you know?
Let's get him to the spot.
And told him to say his ABCs, and he didn't want to do that either, but that was okay. It really wasn't the point. The point was to keep him conscious and aware of what was going on.
Here, I'm going.
The Aspinwalls had a safety collar around the house for water skiing competitions.
Just a little bit.
They carefully put it on to try to immobilize Benji's neck.
At one point, his arm fell off the surfboard, and he didn't have any idea that it was off, and we picked his arm and put it back up on the surfboard, and that was the point that I realized that we really had a serious situation.
Off-duty paramedic Jim Passwater had heard the dispatch on his pager.
What happened? He said he was not hurting, but he couldn't feel anything.
Feel me touching your legs? No. Feel that? Your leg? No.
Right away, I realized that he had some type of a cervical injury or spinal injury.
Just exactly what needed to be done. Don't move him. Just leave him right here until we get some extra help. All right, we got the telephone here?
I just felt that this boy really needed some attention from a trauma center. I felt that he needed more care than we could give him here in Putnam County.
The Trauma 1 helicopter from University Medical Center was dispatched to the scene.
Don't worry.
Volunteer firefighters arrived, and immediately began packaging Benji for the 50-mile flight to the hospital.
Slide the backboard under. All right.
All right.
Got a helicopter coming. Let's
Keep
get
talking to us, Ben.
Benji's parents, Anna and Daniel Keel, arrived soon after.
What happened?
They mentioned that he had hit his head on the bottom. He was looking up at me and said, "I'm sorry, Dad."
2, 3. Slow and easy.
I knew he was paralyzed, but I didn't know to what extent. With my wife being upset like she was, I was trying to hold it.
They brought him up on the stretcher, and I went over to him and I knelt down on the ground, and he looked up and he said, "I'll be all right, Mom. I'll be all right." He always tried to console everybody else. It was like we were the patients, he wasn't.
Once we got him up on land, he was almost in tears, telling his mother that he did not want to live like this, referring to being paralyzed from the neck down.
Okay.
You hurting anywhere, Benji?
It's a burning sensation on my shoulder.
And your shoulders where?
He started having a little sensation, which I felt was a good sign.
Good sign, John.
But we knew he had a neurological deficit.
Dove into approximately 4 foot of water.
Paramedic Mike Kern and his partner arrived on the scene.
Okay, we got a helicopter.
I remember being 18 myself and all the things that I wanted to do in my life. And here's an 18-year-old faced with the possibility that he's going to spend the rest of his life in a bed as a quadriplegic.
We'll be there as soon as we can, son. It was scary to see my son go in that helicopter, because I wasn't for sure. I just wasn't for sure what was going to take place at the other end, or what we was going to find when we got to the hospital.
Benji was admitted to the trauma unit under the care of Dr. Keith Sinclair.
You check his legs.
His neurological exam showed that he was paralyzed from the neck down.
Put your feet down.
But though Benji's neck was broken, a CAT scan revealed he had not severed his spinal cord. The paralysis was caused by severe bruising.
Your physical exam suggests that you've got some injury to your spinal cord at the moment.
Spinal cord injuries, especially when people are rendered quadriplegic, have quite a high risk of death. Pneumonia is a very big problem, as is spinal cord shock.
By the third day following the accident, Benji was suffering from both pneumonia and spinal shock.
When we walked in then, it hit us hard because, we didn't know if he was going to make it.
Shortly after we had intubated him because of his difficulty in breathing through his bad pneumonia, his blood pressure dropped precipitously and his heart stopped transiently. Fortunately, there were a lot of people in attendance at the time, and so we managed to resuscitate him very quickly.
Within 2 weeks, Benji had managed to recover enough to be taken off the respirator.
He had the attitude that he was not going to lay in that bed no more than he had to. Well, I knew then if he got into a rehab center, he would be all right.
With extensive rehabilitation, 9 months after the accident, Benji learned to walk without the aid of a cane.
People ask me if I'm going to become completely healed, and I'm a little doubtful. I have some problems with my left arm. But I told them if the only thing I get back is what I've got right now, I'm happy. Because I know what it's like to be without anything.
You got a leak.
He was very lucky in the fact that the boys that were with him, if they hadn't done what they had done, by all means placing that surfboard underneath him and floating him to shore, keeping his neck and spine in line, they're the reasons Benji's walking today.
Ready?
The rescuers and my friends who saved my life, I try to think at night, how can I repay these people for what they've done for me? And there's no way to repay them except for say thank you. If they ever need anything from me, I'm there. There's no doubt in my mind. I would sacrifice anything for them. dog in my family, man. When I was younger and went to swimming pools, you see the signs, and it says feet first, first time. If I'd have went feet first, I'd have realized how shallow the water was. Trust me, you don't want to dive into shallow water, because being paralyzed is scary. It's the hardest thing I've ever had to go through in my life. Hopefully it will be the hardest.
It changes your aspect on life. You want to care a little more. If you know somebody needs help, go help. Be a friend if you can. You're giving something back. When you almost have something taken away and then you can give something back and be thankful. And I'm thankful. I'm thankful I got Benji. Because he's my buddy.
Every night when I go to sleep, I thank God for what he's given me. It won't be the same, and it'll never be the same, and I'll never expect it to be the same. But I'm happy with life now.
Mr. Shapiro, step out of the car, please.